My GF married her childhood crush and shared it. Finally, unaware I was already pregnant. The rain had been falling since dawn, soft but relentless, tapping against the narrow windows of Lina Moore's apartment like a question that refused to be answered. Her workspace was small, too small for the number of dreams she had once believed could live there. Sketchpads were stacked unevenly on the floor. Half-finished illustrations leaned against the wall, colors waiting patiently for hands that had lost the will to finish them. A single lamp glowed warmly over her desk, fighting against the grayness creeping in from outside. Lina sat hunched over her tablet, stylus hovering just above the screen. She was supposed to be working. A children's book deadline loomed, one she had promised Evelyn she'd meet. Evelyn, who always teased her for losing track of time. Evelyn, who used to kiss her temple from behind and whisper, "Don't forget to eat." The thought made Lina's chest ache. They hadn't spoken properly in days. Evelyn had said she needed space. Not distance. Not goodbye. Just space. Lina had agreed without protest, because loving Evelyn had always meant making herself smaller, quieter, more accommodating. Her phone buzzed. Lina ignored it at first. Another vibration followed. Then another. With a faint sigh, she reached for the phone, expecting a message from a client or maybe Naomi reminding her about her checkup tomorrow. Instead, her screen lit up with a familiar name. Evelyn Hart tagged you in a post. Lina's lips curved into a small, hopeful smile before she could stop herself. A tag? Evelyn wasn't big on public displays. She liked privacy. She liked keeping things controlled. Maybe this was her way of reaching out. Lina tapped the notification. The app took a second too long to load. And in that second, everything Lina thought she knew about her life still existed. Then the image appeared. White flooded the screen. So much white it almost hurt to look at. Evelyn stood at the center of the photograph, radiant in a tailored wedding suit. Ivory, elegant, undeniably expensive. Her hair was styled just the way Lina loved, swept back cleanly to expose the strong line of her jaw. But Evelyn wasn't alone. Her hand was intertwined with another woman's. Clara Whitmore. Clara's smile was calm, practiced, perfect. The kind of smile that belonged on magazine covers and family portraits. She wore a gown that shimmered softly, lace hugging her figure like it had been made just for her. They looked right. Too right. Lina's breath hitched. Her fingers tightened around the phone as if it might slip away, as if this image might vanish if she didn't look directly at it. She scrolled down. "Forever begins today, ring sparkles. Married the love of my childhood." The words didn't make sense at first. They floated, detached from meaning, like a foreign language she hadn't learned yet. Married. The room seemed to tilt. Lina pressed her palm flat against the desk to steady herself. The tablet slid slightly beneath her hand, the unfinished illustration distorting into streaks of color. Her ears rang. She scrolled again. Comments poured in hundreds, then thousands. "I knew it. You always belonged together. Childhood love wins every time. So happy you found your way back. She's been waiting for you." Each comment felt like a confession she had never been allowed to hear. Lina's mind raced backward. Waiting for you. So all those late nights Evelyn had been distracted. All those moments she'd gone quiet when Lina asked about the past. All those times she'd said, "It's complicated." This was what complicated meant. Her phone vibrated again. A second image uploaded. A close-up, Evelyn's hand resting gently over Clara's waist. The wedding ring gleamed under soft lighting, cruel in its clarity. Lina's vision blurred. Her throat tightened until breathing felt like a chore. For years of birthdays celebrated quietly. Of holidays spent half hidden. Of promises spoken in the dark because daylight felt too exposed. "I love you," Evelyn had whispered countless times. "I just need time." Time, it turned out, had been used to walk back into someone else's arms. A sudden wave of nausea surged through Lina's body. She lurched forward, barely making it to the trash can before retching violently. Nothing came up, but the heaving didn't stop until tears streamed down her face. Her body shook. Her hand drifted instinctively to her stomach. It had been happening more often lately. The dizziness, the sickness, the strange exhaustion she couldn't explain. Naomi had suggested stress. But now. "Not now," Lina whispered hoarsely, forehead pressed against the rim of the trash can. "Please not now." She dragged herself upright and stumbled to the bathroom. The mirror reflected a stranger. Eyes too large, skin too pale, lips trembling. Her phone buzzed again. Another update. Evelyn had edited the caption. Thank you to everyone who supported me while I found my way back to who I was always meant to be. Lina stared at the words until they burned. Back. So being with Lina had been a detour. A phase. Something to be corrected. Her knees gave out. She slid down the bathroom wall, sitting on the cold tile floor, phone clutched against her chest like a wound. Memories came unbidden. Evelyn asleep beside her, hair fanned across the pillow. Evelyn tracing circles on Lina's back, murmuring about a future they would build together. Evelyn promising, no matter what happens, I'll choose you. Lina laughed then, soft, disbelieving. I think you already have, she whispered now, voice cracking. The rain outside grew heavier, pounding against the windows as if the sky itself were mourning. Lina curled inward, arms wrapped around herself. Somewhere inside her, beneath the shock and the grief, a quiet, terrifying thought took root. If I'm pregnant, she squeezed her eyes shut. The future she had imagined, small, imperfect, but shared, collapsed silently around her. And Evelyn Hart would never know. Not yet. Not like this. The post remained on her screen, glowing cruelly in the dim bathroom light. The moment that ended everything. The night did not end after the tears dried. It simply stretched on, heavy, suffocating, endless. Lina lay curled on her side on the narrow couch, the bathroom light still on because turning it off felt like admitting the day had truly happened. The phone lay face down on the coffee table, as if it could still see her, still accuse her. Sleep refused to come. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw white fabric, interlocked fingers, a smile that no longer belonged to her. Her stomach churned again, not from grief this time, but from something deeper, more physical. Lina pressed a hand to her abdomen, fingers trembling. No, she whispered into the dark. Please don't be real. She had avoided the thought for weeks, pushing it away with excuses. Stress, poor eating, sleepless nights, anything but the truth. But her body had been trying to tell her. The missed period, the exhaustion that clung to her bones, the sudden sensitivity to smells, the coffee she once loved now making her gag. She sat up slowly, breath shallow. The silence in the apartment felt unbearable. Without allowing herself time to think, Lina stood and walked back into the bathroom. The fluorescent light hummed softly. She opened the cabinet beneath the sink and stared at the small white box she had bought days ago and hidden behind cleaning supplies, as if hiding it might erase the possibility. Pregnancy test. Her hands shook as she pulled it out. This doesn't mean anything, she muttered, voice hollow. It's probably negative. She didn't believe it. Minutes later, she sat on the edge of the bathtub, elbows resting on her knees, test in her hands. Waiting. The ticking of the clock grew louder with each second. Her chest tightened. She thought of Evelyn then, not the bride in white, but the woman who had held her afterward, murmuring apologies for falling asleep too early. The woman who had pressed her forehead to Lina's and whispered, "If anything ever happens, we'll face it together." The test beeped softly. Lina stared down. One line. Then, another. Clear. Dark. Unmistakable. The room swam. Her fingers loosened, and the test clattered into the sink. No, Lina whispered. She stood abruptly, pacing the length of the small bathroom, nails digging into her palms. This isn't happening, she said louder, as if volume might undo reality. It can't be happening. She stopped in front of the mirror. Her reflection stared back, eyes wide, mouth slightly open, fear etched into every line of her face. I can't be pregnant, she whispered to herself. But her body betrayed her with another wave of nausea. Her knees buckled. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor again, arms wrapped tightly around her stomach. Not protectively yet, but instinctively. Tears spilled freely now. Pregnant. With Evelyn's child. A quiet sob tore from her chest. What am I supposed to do? She whispered into the empty apartment. There was no answer. She reached for her phone. Her fingers hovered over Evelyn's name. Just tell her. The thought burned. Evelyn, I'm pregnant. Evelyn, you left me, and now I'm carrying your child. Evelyn, come back. Lina swallowed hard. She imagined Evelyn's face, shock, guilt, confusion. She imagined Clara standing beside her, beautiful and legitimate. She imagined being the secret. The mistake. Her thumb shook violently. She locked the phone and set it aside. No, she whispered fiercely. I won't do that. Her breathing steadied slowly, painfully. Another name surfaced in her mind. Naomi. Her fingers moved automatically this time. The call connected almost instantly. Lina. Naomi's voice was groggy but alert. Is everything okay? The moment Lina heard her friend's voice, the dam broke. I'm pregnant, Lina said, the words collapsing into a sob. And Evelyn got married today. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. Oh, Lina. I didn't know who else to call, Lina continued, voice shaking. I'm sorry, it's late. I don't know what to do. You did the right thing calling me, Naomi said gently. I'm here. You're not alone. Lina pressed her forehead to the cool tile floor. I can't tell her, she whispered. I can't. Lina, Naomi said carefully, this is big. You don't have to decide anything tonight. I already decided, Lina said too quickly. Silence. Naomi sighed softly. What are you thinking? Lina closed her eyes. I'll raise the baby myself, she said. She chose her life. I won't ruin it. You wouldn't be ruining anything, Naomi replied. You'd be telling the truth. The truth doesn't always belong to everyone, Lina said quietly. Naomi hesitated. And what about you? Lina laughed weakly. I'll manage. Naomi didn't sound convinced. Come see me tomorrow. We'll confirm everything properly, okay? Okay. After the call ended, the apartment felt even emptier. Lina cleaned the bathroom mechanically, wiping away evidence as if she could erase the moment itself. She placed the test back in its box, then tucked it deep into a drawer she rarely opened. Out of sight, but not out of mind. She returned to the couch and wrapped herself in a blanket, curling inward. Her thoughts drifted despite her efforts. What would the baby look like? Would it have Evelyn's eyes? Her stubbornness? Would it ever ask about its other mother? Lina pressed a hand gently to her stomach this time. I don't know you yet, she whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks again. But I won't let you feel unwanted. Ever. The rain outside finally slowed, leaving behind a hollow silence. Somewhere far away, Evelyn Hart slept beside her wife, unaware that Lina's life had changed forever. Unaware that a part of her still lived on. And Lina lay awake until dawn, grieving one love, and quietly beginning another. The world did not stop for Lina Moore. If anything, it celebrated louder. By morning, Evelyn Hart's wedding had escaped the confines of social media and spilled into everything Lina could not avoid. News alerts, lifestyle blogs, entertainment pages she didn't even follow. Even a notification from an art platform congratulating Evelyn. Congratulations to our community member on her wedding. As if joy were something universally assigned. Lina stopped opening apps. But joy had a way of finding her anyway. The cafe near her apartment played a muted television above the counter. Lina stood in line, clutching a cup of ginger tea. Coffee had become impossible now, when a familiar face appeared on the screen. Evelyn. A professionally edited wedding montage played, soft instrumental music layered beneath clips of laughter, embraces, vows spoken beneath white flowers. Lina froze. Her tea trembled in her hands. The barista called her name twice before she moved, eyes glued to the screen. The reporter's voice was bright, admiring. Entrepreneur Evelyn Hart has officially tied the knot with Clara Whitmore, her longtime childhood friend and now wife. The ceremony, described as intimate yet grand, marks a beautiful reunion of a love story years in the making. Years in the making. Lina turned away abruptly and walked out without her drink. Outside, the air felt too thin. She leaned against the brick wall, breathing through the dizziness, hand instinctively cradling her stomach. It was still barely noticeable, only a faint curve that could be explained away, but to Lina it already felt monumental. You're really here, she whispered. At home, she closed the curtains. The light felt intrusive. Days blurred together. Lina stopped answering messages from friends who didn't know what to say. She declined commissions. She slept at odd hours, waking up nauseous and aching in ways she didn't recognize. Naomi checked on her constantly, bringing vitamins and gentle lectures about nutrition. You can't disappear completely, Naomi said one afternoon, setting groceries on the counter. I'm not disappearing, Lina replied softly. I'm adjusting. Naomi didn't push. She watched Lina move slowly now, carefully. How she paused before standing. How she pressed her back against the wall when dizziness hit. The pregnancy made everything heavier. Her emotions. Her memories. Her grief. At night, when the apartment was quiet, Lina sometimes opened her sketchbook again. Her drawings changed. Gone were the bright colors and whimsical characters. In their place appeared shadows, half-finished figures, women standing on opposite sides of invisible walls. One night, she drew a wedding veil dissolving into rain. She tore the page out and threw it away. Across the city, Evelyn Hart woke up in a silk-sheeted bed that didn't feel like hers. Clara lay beside her, asleep, one arm draped possessively across Evelyn's chest. The room smelled faintly of flowers, left over from the wedding, preserved and arranged by a team of decorators who had already moved on to their next celebration. Evelyn stared at the ceiling. She felt hollow. The wedding had been perfect. Too perfect. Every detail orchestrated, applauded, validated. Every smile captured, shared, praised. Everyone said she looked happy. So why did it feel like she had left something behind? She rolled onto her side and reached for her phone. Habit. Her thumb hovered over Lina's name before she caught herself. She locked the screen. Clara stirred. "Can't sleep," she murmured. "Just jet lag," Evelyn lied. Clara smiled sleepily. "You'll get used to it. Everything's different now." Evelyn closed her eyes. Different. Yes, but not better. Interviews followed. Photographers. Questions about love, destiny, childhood memories. "Do you believe in fate?" a journalist asked. Evelyn smiled for the camera. "I think some people are meant to find each other again," she said smoothly. The words echoed hollowly inside her. That night, Lina threw up until her throat burned. She knelt on the bathroom floor, hair falling into her face, tears mixing with bile. "I'm sorry," she whispered to the life growing inside her. "I didn't mean to make you feel this." She rinsed her mouth and rested her forehead against the cool porcelain. The pregnancy was no longer just an idea. It was real. Her body was changing. Her jeans no longer fit comfortably. Her breasts ached. Her emotions surged unpredictably, grief crashing into anger, anger dissolving into longing. She dreamed of Evelyn constantly. Not the bride. The Evelyn who used to tuck her hair behind her ear. The Evelyn who laughed quietly at Lina's terrible jokes. In her dreams, Evelyn reached for her. And Lina always woke up alone. One evening, Lina made the mistake of opening social media again. Evelyn had posted a photo from her honeymoon. The ocean behind her was impossibly blue. Clara stood beside her, smiling, head resting against Evelyn's shoulder. The caption read, "Some endings are just new beginnings." Lina stared at the screen for a long time. Then she placed the phone face down and turned it off completely. "No more," she whispered. She deleted the app that night. Across the city, Evelyn stood at the edge of that same ocean, wind tugging at her hair. Clara laughed, splashing water playfully. Evelyn smiled, but her eyes drifted elsewhere. She thought of Lina's quiet presence. The way Lina had always listened. The way she had loved without demanding applause. A knot formed in Evelyn's chest. She pushed the feeling away. She told herself it was normal. She told herself she had chosen correctly. But late at night, when Clara slept peacefully beside her, Evelyn lay awake with a strange, growing unease. As if the applause had faded, and something vital was missing. Back in her apartment, Lina rested both hands on her stomach, breathing slowly. "I don't know what comes next," she whispered. "But I'm here. I'm staying." Outside, the city glittered with celebration. Inside, two lives moved quietly forward, one growing, one unraveling, unaware of how closely their paths would soon collide. The pharmacy smelled like antiseptic and artificial lavender. Lina stood in line, one hand gripping a small basket, the other resting instinctively on the curve of her stomach. At 7 months pregnant, there was no hiding it anymore. Her body had changed in ways she was still learning to accept. Her center of gravity altered, her movements slower, more deliberate. She focused on her breathing. In. Out. The fluorescent lights above flickered faintly, setting off a dull headache. The baby shifted, a gentle pressure from the inside, reminding her of its presence. Lina smiled despite herself and murmured softly, I know. We'll be home soon." She was choosing prenatal vitamins when laughter drifted through the automatic doors. A laugh she knew. Her spine went rigid. She turned slowly, heart pounding, hoping, praying. It was just her imagination. It wasn't. Evelyn Hart stood near the entrance, dressed impeccably as always, dark coat tailored to perfection. Beside her was Clara, elegant and composed, one hand looped easily through Evelyn's arm. For a split second, Lina forgot how to breathe. The world narrowed to the three of them. Evelyn's gaze lifted and locked onto Lina. Shock flickered across her face. Then disbelief. Then something else, something raw and unguarded. "Lina?" Evelyn breathed. The sound of her name on Evelyn's lips sent a sharp ache through Lina's chest. She took a step back instinctively, hand tightening over her stomach. Too late. Evelyn's eyes followed the movement. They dropped. Time slowed to a crawl. Evelyn stared. At the curve beneath Lina's sweater. At the way Lina stood protectively, shoulders tense, body angled away. The color drained from Evelyn's face. "Are you?" Evelyn began, voice barely audible. "No," Lina said immediately. The word came out sharper than she intended. Clara looked between them, confusion creasing her brow. "Do you two know each other?" Lina forced herself to straighten. "Yes," she said calmly. Too calmly. "We used to." Evelyn swallowed hard. "Lina, can we talk?" "Please." Lina's heart raced. She imagined the words tumbling out if she stayed even 1 second longer. The truth was so close to the surface it terrified her. "I don't think there's anything left to say," Lina replied. She met Evelyn's gaze fully now, refusing to look away. "You made your choice." Evelyn's hands trembled. "I didn't know you were." "I'm fine," Lina cut in. "And whatever you think you saw, it's none of your business." The lie tasted bitter. The baby kicked sharply as if protesting. Lina inhaled through the sensation, refusing to let it show. Clara stepped closer to Evelyn, her hand tightening possessively. "Evelyn, who is she?" Evelyn didn't answer immediately. Her eyes never left Lina's face. "She's someone from my past," Evelyn said finally. Lina laughed quietly. "That's one way to put it." The pharmacist called Lina's number. It was the only thing breaking the tension. Lina reached for her basket with shaking hands. Evelyn took a step forward. "Lina, wait." Panic surged. If Evelyn touched her, if she asked the wrong question, Lina knew she would break. She shook her head sharply. "Don't," she said. "Please." The word please slipped out, softer than she meant. Evelyn stopped. For a moment, they just looked at each other. So many unspoken things hung between them. Love, regret, questions that could unravel lives. "I hope you're happy," Lina said quietly. It was the cruelest lie she'd ever told. She turned and walked toward the counter, forcing her legs to move steadily even as her heart shattered all over again. Behind her, Evelyn stood frozen. "Evelyn?" Clara asked softly. Evelyn didn't respond. She couldn't take her eyes off Lina's retreating figure. The way she cradled her stomach unconsciously, the way she moved carefully, protectively. A cold realization began to settle deep in her bones. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't nothing. Back outside, Lina leaned against the wall, breath coming in short, uneven gasps. Her entire body trembled. "I'm okay," she whispered to herself. "We're okay." But her legs threatened to give out. She pressed both hands to her stomach, grounding herself in the warmth beneath her palms. "You're safe," she murmured to the baby. "She doesn't get to take you from me." Tears blurred her vision. Inside the pharmacy, Clara studied Evelyn's face. "You're shaking," she said. Evelyn realized she was. "Who was that?" Clara asked again, her voice tight now. Evelyn swallowed. "Someone I loved." Clara stiffened. "Loved?" Evelyn closed her eyes briefly. "Yes." The silence that followed was heavy. Outside, Lina forced herself to walk away. Each step felt like an act of survival. She didn't look back. She couldn't. Because if she did, she wasn't sure she would be able to keep walking. And Evelyn Hart stood in the middle of the pharmacy, heart pounding, mind racing, staring at the door Lina had disappeared through, already knowing, deep down, that her perfect life had begun to crack. The doubt did not leave Evelyn Hart. It followed her home from the pharmacy like a shadow she couldn't outrun. That night, she sat beside Clara on the couch of their spacious apartment, a glass of untouched wine sweating in her hand. The city lights glimmered beyond the windows, distant and cold. Clara was scrolling through her phone, laughing softly at something someone had posted. Evelyn watched her from the corner of her eye. Every time Clara smiled, Evelyn saw Lina's face instead. Not smiling, but guarded, pale, and unmistakably pregnant. Evelyn's chest tightened. She set the glass down carefully, afraid she might drop it if she held it any longer. "You've been quiet," Clara said, finally glancing up. "Is something wrong?" Evelyn hesitated. "I ran into someone today," she said slowly. Clara's smile faded just a little. "The woman from the pharmacy?" "Yes." Clara stiffened. "You didn't mention her name." "Lina," Evelyn said softly. The name tasted familiar in her mouth, too familiar. Clara looked away. "An ex," Evelyn swallowed. "My partner. For 4 years." Silence. Clara's fingers tightened around her phone. "You told me that relationship was over long before we reconnected," Clara said carefully. "It was," Evelyn replied. "But not in the way I thought." Clara exhaled sharply. You're not suggesting. She's pregnant, Evelyn interrupted. The words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Clara laughed once, sharp and incredulous. That's ridiculous. Is it? Evelyn asked quietly. Clara stood abruptly. You're spiraling. You saw someone who looks pregnant, and suddenly you think it's yours. Evelyn stood too, her voice unsteady. The timing matches. The way she reacted, it wasn't nothing. She said it wasn't yours, Clara snapped. She said it wasn't my business, Evelyn corrected. The distinction mattered. Clara crossed her arms. Even if she is pregnant, it doesn't mean it's yours. Evelyn closed her eyes. She saw Lina's hands protectively shielding her stomach, her body moving carefully, the fear in her eyes. It is, Evelyn whispered. I know it is. Clara's face hardened. You're letting guilt rewrite history, she said. You left her. That chapter is closed. Evelyn shook her head. I walked away without looking back. And now you regret it, Clara said coolly. Evelyn didn't deny it. That night, Clara went to bed early. Evelyn stayed up, sitting alone in the dark, replaying memories she had buried. Counting dates. Tracing timelines. The truth refused to stay buried. She searched Lina's name online. Nothing recent. No updates. No posts. Evelyn realized then how completely Lina had vanished. The thought unsettled her. Over the next few days, the tension in the apartment thickened. Clara watched Evelyn closely now, too closely. You're distracted at work, Clara remarked one morning. I'm fine, Evelyn replied automatically. You haven't been fine since you saw her, Clara said. Evelyn looked up. Why does that bother you so much? Because I'm your wife, Clara snapped. And you're thinking about someone else. Evelyn had no defense. She tried to focus on her work. She failed. Her mind returned again and again to Lina, alone pregnant, protecting herself. Guilt coiled tighter with every thought. One afternoon, Evelyn drove past Lina's old neighborhood without meaning to. She parked across the street, heart racing. The building looked the same. Too ordinary to hold so much pain. She didn't get out of the car. She just sat there, staring. I don't even know what I'd say, she whispered. Clara confronted her that night. I went through your search history, Clara said flatly. Evelyn froze. You looked her up, Clara continued. You drove past her place. Evelyn didn't deny it. Clara's voice trembled with anger. Do you still love her? The question cut deep. Evelyn's answer came slowly. I never stopped. Clara stepped back as if struck. So what am I? Clara asked. A mistake. No, Evelyn said quickly. You weren't safe. The words were out before she could stop them. Clara stared at her in disbelief. Safe, she repeated. That's what I am to you. Evelyn's silence was answer enough. The marriage fractured quietly after that. No shouting. No dramatic exits. Just distance. Two women sharing a space that no longer felt like home. Evelyn began to unravel. She barely slept. She dreamed of Lina crying alone. She woke up reaching for a body that wasn't there. One night, she stood on the balcony, city wind cutting cold against her skin. If it's true, she whispered into the darkness, I abandoned my own child. The thought crushed her. She knew then she couldn't pretend anymore. She needed the truth. No matter the cost. Somewhere across the city, Lina sat on her bed, rubbing her swollen belly slowly. The baby kicked gently, responding to her touch. I'm doing my best, Lina whispered. I promise. She had no idea that the life she was protecting was already pulling at the seams of another. Evelyn Hart did not sleep the night she decided to seek the truth. She lay awake beside Clara, staring into the darkness, every second dragging like a punishment she had postponed for too long. Clara's breathing was steady, turned away from her, the space between them colder than any argument. Evelyn counted the hours. She replayed the past 7 months again and again. Every moment with Lina, every promise spoken casually, every time she had chosen silence instead of clarity. By morning, her chest felt tight, as though something inside her was already breaking. She rose quietly, dressed without turning on the lights, and left the apartment before Clara woke. Naomi Reed did not offer pleasantries. Her clinic smelled of antiseptic and coffee gone cold. Evelyn stood stiffly near the doorway as Naomi closed the file in her hands with deliberate calm. She didn't want you to know, Naomi said flatly. Evelyn swallowed. But she is pregnant. Yes. The single word crushed her. How far along? Evelyn asked, though she already knew the answer. 7 months, Naomi replied. She's healthy. The baby is healthy. Emotionally, she's barely holding herself together. Evelyn's knees weakened. She reached for the chair behind her and sat down hard. "It's mine," Evelyn whispered. Naomi studied her carefully. "You don't get to whisper that like it's a confession. You abandoned her." "I didn't know," Evelyn said desperately. "I swear I would never have." "You left," Naomi cut in sharply. "You disappeared. You married someone else and announced it to the world while Lina was throwing up alone in her bathroom." Evelyn's breath hitched. "She cried for weeks," Naomi continued, voice low but relentless. "She blamed herself. She still does." Tears slipped free, uninvited. "Where is she?" Evelyn asked. Naomi hesitated. "Do not hurt her again." "I won't," Evelyn said, voice breaking. "I can't." Naomi handed her an address. "She didn't want me to give this to you," Naomi said. "But she deserves honesty more than protection now." Evelyn clutched the paper like it was fragile. Lina did not expect the knock. She was sitting on the couch, folding impossibly tiny clothes Naomi had brought over the day before. The afternoon sun filtered through the curtains, warm and quiet. The baby shifted, slow and heavy. Lina smiled faintly, rubbing her belly. "Almost there," she murmured. The knock came again, soft, hesitant. Her heart stuttered. She stood slowly, every movement careful now, and approached the door. When she opened it, the world seemed to stop breathing. Evelyn stood there. No designer coat. No polished smile. Just Evelyn, eyes red, shoulders slumped, hands shaking at her sides. Lina's first instinct was denial. Her second was panic. "You weren't supposed to know," Lina said quietly. Evelyn's breath shattered. "I know," she whispered. "And I'm so sorry." Lina tried to close the door. Evelyn stopped it with her hand, not forcefully, just enough to keep it from shutting. "Please," Evelyn said. "Just let me see you." Lina hesitated, then stepped back. Evelyn entered the apartment slowly, reverently, as if crossing sacred ground. Her gaze dropped immediately. To Lina's stomach. There was no denying it now. Life. Her life. Evelyn's knees hit the floor. "I was a coward," she sobbed. "I thought history meant destiny. I thought going back would make everything simpler." Lina crossed her arms protectively. "And I was what? A mistake?" "No," Evelyn said quickly. "You were my home." The words came too late. Lina's eyes filled with tears she had sworn she wouldn't shed in front of Evelyn again. "You left," Lina said. "You didn't even say goodbye." "I didn't deserve you," Evelyn whispered. "But I should have been braver." Silence fell. The baby kicked sharply. Evelyn looked up, eyes wide. Did it just? Lina placed a hand over her belly, breathing through the sensation. "Yes." Evelyn reached out instinctively, then froze. "May I?" she asked, voice barely audible. Lina hesitated, then nodded. Evelyn's hand hovered for a moment before resting gently against Lina's stomach. The baby kicked again. Evelyn broke. She pressed her forehead to Lina's belly, shoulders shaking as she cried. "I missed everything," she whispered. "I missed you." Lina rested her hand on Evelyn's hair, not forgiving, not welcoming, just human. "I chose to survive," Lina said softly. "You don't get to undo that." "I'm not asking you to," Evelyn replied. "I just want to be here. For them. For you, if you'll allow it." Lina closed her eyes. Love still existed. But it hurt now. "You're married," Lina said. "I filed for divorce," Evelyn answered without hesitation. "The day I knew." Lina inhaled sharply. "That doesn't fix this." "I know." The truth lay between them, heavy and irreversible. "You can't make promises," Lina said. "Not anymore." "I won't," Evelyn said. "I'll prove it." They sat together on the couch, not touching, not apart. Two women bound by a truth too powerful to ignore. Outside, the city continued on, unaware that everything had changed. Inside, Lina felt something shift, not relief, not forgiveness, but certainty. The truth was out, and nothing would ever be the same again. Labor began quietly. There was no dramatic rush at first, no cinematic urgency, no sudden screams. Just a tightening low in Lina's abdomen, while the sky outside her bedroom window was still pale with early morning light. She lay still, listening to her body. Another contraction followed. Longer this time. Deeper. Lina exhaled slowly, hand gripping the edge of the mattress. "It's time," she whispered. She didn't call Evelyn first. She called Naomi. Naomi arrived within minutes, already in doctor mode, calm and efficient. She checked Lina carefully, smiling softly. "You're ready," she said. "Do you want Evelyn there?" Lina closed her eyes. She thought of everything, the heartbreak, the waiting, the strength it had taken to survive alone. Yes, she said finally. But on my terms. Naomi nodded. That's enough. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and quiet resolve. Lina changed into a gown, her hair pulled back, sweat already forming at her temples. Each contraction demanded more of her, pulling her inward, forcing her to focus on nothing but breathing. When Evelyn arrived, she stopped short at the doorway. Lina looked smaller in the hospital bed. Stronger, too. I'm here, Evelyn said softly. I won't speak unless you want me to. Lina nodded. That was the rule. Hours passed. Pain built. Lina cried out, not from fear, but from exhaustion, from the weight of everything she had carried alone. Evelyn stood nearby, hands clenched at her sides, tears sliding silently down her cheeks as she watched Lina endure something she should have shared from the beginning. You're doing amazing, Naomi encouraged. One more push. Lina screamed, not in despair but in defiance. And then, a cry pierced the room. Sharp. Alive. Lina collapsed back against the pillows, sobbing as Naomi placed a warm, wriggling bundle against her chest. She's beautiful, Naomi said gently. Lina looked down. Dark hair. Tiny fists. A perfect, furious little face. Hi, Lina whispered. I'm your mama. The baby quieted instantly. Evelyn broke down completely. She dropped to her knees, covering her mouth, shoulders shaking as she witnessed the life she had almost lost forever. She looks like you, Evelyn whispered. Lina didn't respond. She didn't need to. The days that followed were slow and fragile. Recovery hurt. Sleep was a luxury. But Lina felt grounded in a way she never had before. Evelyn visited every day, never unannounced, never demanding. She brought food, clean clothes, coffee for Naomi. She learned how to hold the baby properly, how to change diapers, how to step back when Lina needed space. You don't have to stay, Lina said one evening as the sun dipped low. I want to, Evelyn replied. But I will if you ask. Lina studied her. You really changed, she said quietly. I had to, Evelyn answered. Or I would have stayed the same forever. Weeks passed. Lina named her daughter Iris, for resilience, for light after storms. Evelyn signed the birth certificate only after Lina asked her to. That mattered. They talked slowly, honestly, painfully. Not about reconciliation. About boundaries. I don't know if I can ever love you the same way again, Lina said one night. I know, Evelyn replied. I won't ask you to. But I don't hate you, Lina admitted. Evelyn smiled sadly. That's more than I deserve. One morning, Lina watched Evelyn rock Iris gently near the window. Sunlight wrapped around them both. For the first time, Lina didn't feel anger. Just clarity. You can be her parent, Lina said. But we're not going backwards. Evelyn nodded immediately. We move forward or not at all. Lina smiled faintly. That was the first moment peace felt real. Months later, Iris learned to laugh. Lina returned to drawing, soft colors this time. Stories about strength, about love that didn't disappear, only transformed. Evelyn remained present, not perfect but consistent. One evening, as Lina watched Iris sleep, Evelyn spoke quietly. Thank you for surviving, she said. Even without me. Lina didn't look up. I didn't survive for you, she replied. I survived for us. Evelyn nodded, tears shining. And Lina understood something important then. Some love stories don't end in reunion. They end in truth, growth, and respect. And sometimes, that is the bravest ending of all.